Rich people are pretty weird, let's be honest here. Just look at this photo of Facebook head honcho Mike Zuckerberg wearing more than the recommended amount of sunblock. But then again, that might be needed because he's a robot. If you need further proof of their weirdness, just look at their spending habits. These 1%ers spend their cash on the craziest things. And of course, we've compiled it especially for you in list form. Make sure you stay tuned to the end because it's by far the craziest purchase on this list. Here are 15 of the craziest purchases by billionaires. Number 15. An entire museum. Our first crazy purchase clearly puts this billionaire on the ladder. With a net worth of $71.4 billion, telecom tycoon Carlos Slim is Mexico's richest man. Some say Pablo Escobar has a larger net worth, but since he got that money illegally, he don't count on this list. Anyway, in 2011, Slim was the richest man in the world. This is also the year that he opened the Museo Samaya, an $800 million 6-story metallic and windowless art museum to showcase his legendary collection. In total, he owns more than 65,000 art pieces, including some of Europe and Mexico's most expensive works of art. Number 14. A replica of the Titanic. For this billionaire, only the most famous ship in history is gonna do, the Titanic. One huge problem though, the Titanic has been at the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean since it sunk in 1912. Not to be discouraged by such minor details, Palmer spent reportedly up to $567 million and commissioned the Titanic too. This is a near-exact replica of the doomed 9-deck White Star Line ship, even right down to the grand staircase featured in the 1997 movie. It's just nearly an exact replica because it has to be updated for modern travel. And to avoid history repeating itself, Titanic 2 has enough lifeboats for everyone on board. Number 13. Plastic surgery. In her heyday, Swiss socialite Jocelyn Wildenstein was a naturally beautiful woman. She got around as well. She hunted with a Saudi arms dealer, dated a European filmmaker, explored Africa, and was awarded a whopping $2.5 billion in a historically epic divorce. And what does a woman do with that amount of money? Spend some of it on her face, of course. Wildenstein is now in her 70s and definitely doesn't resemble how she looked in the past. And that's not in a good way. Her bizarre and self-inflicted appearance is an often-cited cautionary tale about excessive and obsessive plastic surgery. It's been reported that Wildenstein spent $4 million throughout the course of her decades-long physical transformation. Number 12. A violin. Not just any violin, though. In 2008, one of the rarest and most expensive instruments on Earth played music for the first time in 7 decades. The audience was not just for ordinary people also, but the cream of Moscow society. They were the guests of Maxim Viktorov, an extremely wealthy lawyer, and a darling of Russia's ruling class, also an avid violin collector. On that historic night, a maestro played Viktorov's new Guarneri del Gesù, one of the only 150 surviving violins made by Giuseppe Guarneri del Gesù during the 18th century. Never heard of them? Well, let me put it this way. They're considered the only violins more prized than the remaining 600 masterpieces crafted by Antonio Stradivari. Still don't know? Well, I mean, I don't really know myself, so go look it up. How much did Viktorov pay to make this one-night performance possible? Well, nothing much, just a cool $3.9 million. I think I'm just gonna stick to Spotify. Number 11. A newspaper. Company. I meant newspaper company. The famous Washington Post, famed for helping take down a presidency, was controlled exclusively by the Graham family for 80 years. That was until Jeff Bezos decided he wanted it for himself. So in 2013, the billionaire Amazon founder bought one of the world's most influential publications for $250 million in a purchase that the Wall Street Journal called an out-of-the-blue deal. 3 years later, Bezos seemed to confirm that it was indeed an impulse purchase when he told Fortune that he did no due diligence and simply accepted the first number the seller proposed. Number 10. Pricey furniture. In 2004, Prince Hans Adam II of the tiny nation of Liechtenstein dropped $36 million on a piece of furniture that you definitely aren't gonna find in IKEA. The Florentine ebony piece known as Badminton Cabinet dates back to the 18th century and is adorned with precious stones like lapis lazuli, agate, and amethyst quartz. The Badminton Cabinet was already the world's priciest piece of furniture after selling for $16.59 million in 1990. So when the prince bought the chest, the purchase broke its own record. Number 9. A car collection. It's good to be a sultan. Don't believe me? Just take a look at the massive collection of cars owned by the Sultan of Brunei. Given that the entire country of Brunei is smaller than Delaware, you'd think he's overcompensating for something. His legendary collection contains between 5,000 and 7,000 of the world's rarest, finest, best performing, and most expensive cars, which has been at a combined cost of $5 billion at the least. The Star is a 14 million Rolls convertible that has the distinction of being the world's most expensive car. Number 8. DaVinci Scribbles and Doodles. In 1994, Gates spent $30.8 million to own the Codex Leicester, a 72-page manuscript that DaVinci compiled in the early 16th century, complete with the master polymath's diagrams, writings, sketches, and ideas for future inventions. It's the equivalent of that heavily doodled-on notepad everybody had beside their landline phone back in the day. That last statement just made me feel really old, actually. Number 7. Billy the Kid's photo. When we think of Koch brothers, our brains automatically go to Charles and David Koch, the billionaire brother duo famous for Koch Industries and their massive political interest. They do have a third brother though, a little bit less known, but definitely as well off. William Koch is a rich guy with a passion for Wild West history. So much so that he isn't shy about spending millions on Wild West memorabilia, especially if it holds a certain significance in history. With that said, let me ask you, would you be willing to spend $2.3 million on an old faded photograph? Well, William definitely would, and that's what he actually did when he came upon the opportunity to purchase an authenticated photo of William H. Bonney himself, the one and only Billy the Kid. Number 6. A flying palace. In 2007, he paid $319 million for an A380 double-decker super jumbo jet, the world's largest passenger aircraft. He then ordered upgrades because, of course. He included a space for his horses and 2 Rolls-Royce cars, which sent the sticker price soaring past $500 mil. He didn't actually get to enjoy this flying palace, though, as he sold it immediately to an undisclosed buyer. So right now, there's probably a billionaire cruising at 25,000 feet with a pair of horses and a couple of cars. Living the dream. Number 5. An island. Oracle founder Larry Ellison calls the Hawaiian island of Lanai his home. He picked it up in 2012 for a cool $300 mil. His tropical paradise includes 90,000 acres, 2 Four Seasons resorts, and a town with a population of 3,200. So it's not the private paradise I've always dreamed of, but hey, you somehow need to make your money back on a purchase this large. Fancy having to stay in one of these resorts? You can for $21,000 a night. Number 4. A yacht. Now, if there is such a thing as competition among billionaires on who owns the largest yacht, then Russian oligarch Roman Abramovich wins hands down. He is the proud owner of the world's largest and most expensive yacht, the Eclipse. Launched in 2010, the Eclipse boasts 6,000 square feet of living space across 11 staterooms and suites. If you miss her when she leaves port, don't you worry. You can park your chopper on her 3-helicopter landing pad. Need to abandon ship quickly? No sweat. The boat's 3-person submarine can dive to 160 feet. How much do you have to spend to own something like this? Well, just around $1.2 billion, give or take a few million. Number 3. A billion-dollar house. Mukesh Ambani inherited and controls an oil empire that has earned an estimated net worth of about $43 billion, and he's not afraid to show his wealth off. The Indian billionaire used $1 billion of that vast fortune to build the most expensive home, not only in his country, but the entire world. According to Forbes, Ambani's residence is a 27-story, 400,000 square foot skyscraper that boasts 3 helicopter pads and 6 underground parking levels. Named after the mythical land of Antilla, its amenities reportedly include a ballroom, a 50-seat theater, and 9 elevators in the lobby alone. About 600 staff members are required to maintain Ambani's mega mansion. And to really show this monstrosity of a house off, he built it right smack in the middle of one of India's most impoverished areas. Now it's time for the day's best pick. Unlike most of the other things on this list, today's best pick is probably the most useless of them all, and was probably spent money on just to appease the vanity of its owner. What am I talking about? Find out next with number 2. Giant Graffiti. Hamad bin Hamdan Al Nahyan is a billionaire sheik and member of Abu Dhabi's ruling family. And what does he do with his billions? Like any self-respecting billionaire would do, he had his name carved into the sandy surface of Futasi Island, an island he owns in the Persian Gulf. At half a mile tall and 2 miles long altogether, the letters Hamad may be the world's largest. It's so big, in fact, that it is visible from space. Normally, words written in sand wash away, but these letters are large enough to form waterways that absorb the encroaching tide. At the time of these satellite photographs were taken, said tide could be seen flowing through the letters all the way to the M. Before we move on, do me a favor. My analytics show that only about 15% of you watching are actually subscribed. Come on guys, what's up with that? Can you guys please hit the subscribe button? You guys watch my videos every day anyway, so you might as well subscribe and keep up to date with every video we put out. Number 1. A Pickled Shark. Well, if you thought our best pick was utterly useless, then check this out. In 2004, billionaire fund manager Steve Cohen bought what just might be the world's most unique piece of contemporary art. A 14-foot tiger shark preserved with a combination of alcohol and formaldehyde. Originally purchased for $93,000 in 1992 by art mogul Charles Saatchi, Cohen bought the piece, officially called The Physical Impossibility of Death in the Mind of Someone Living, more than a decade later for an undisclosed amount, which New York magazines reported to be between $8 million and $12 million. Which of these would you spend your money on? Let us know down below in the comments. Also make sure to check out the channel's other amazing videos. They're completely free. As always, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Later, everybody.